Oh, hi there. I live on Annie's desk. The desk belongs to the state of Minnesota, and I'm going to do a TED Talk for you. I've been observing Annie learning about the Emerging Leaders Institute. I think it's pretty neat, so I want to tell you all the things I've noticed Annie working on. Oops, we can just call it ELI. Oh, I should introduce myself. My name is Frankie. My pronouns are they, them. I am also a plastic cat, but don't let that intimidate you. Through ELI, Annie has been reminded that how you perceive history is often dependent on who is telling the story and what facts are presented in that story. She thinks a lot about that and how it relates to the world at large, or even in her surroundings at work. She also learned a lot about networking. No, not that kind of net, silly, the people kind. Annie thinks a lot about why networking is important, like identifying career opportunities, building a successful team, and staying on top of trends in housing. She also has been learning about the strength of weak ties and knowing that the people most important to her goals might not be very close by. She has been strengthening those ties by asking how she can help. She also pays more attention to how and where to network to help support her goals. Annie has been using those networking skills to interview other leaders and gain insights from their experiences. I decided to try it myself, so I connected with Riley here, who told me all about what a great leader they are. I learned a lot and met with many other great leaders too. I have also observed Annie learning more about how to use her strengths at work. She likes playing with these cards a lot. Some days she feels like a heart, and some days she feels like a diamond. But I think I see both at the same time because she is very creative and she also values relationships. And those around her can tell that she cares about their growth and development. But she is also good at making documentaries about inanimate objects like myself, so clearly she is very creative and imaginative. I think these are both good aspects that help her be a leader at work and at other places too. The place where Annie works has also been moving in a lot of different directions over the past couple years. Not literally like directions on a compass, but changing some organizational priorities and putting her in charge of developing policy strategies and moving the agency forward in a direction that aligns with the mission and values of the agency. Some of the ELI topics have helped her think more intentionally about managing complex change. She has been more mindful about planning around the impact of potential policy changes, worked through the elements of change management, and used various communication strategies to help create changes that are more easily adaptable by others. This has been very helpful. She has learned to change the direction of work whenever it is needed. Annie has also taken a closer examination of her own self through the Zenger-Folkman Extraordinary Leader Assessment. Annie doesn't regularly work with a large group of people. She doesn't manage a team, and she is an individual contributor. But she sent out the survey to as many people as she could think of that she works with in some capacity, and she sent it to her manager. One of the biggest takeaways from the results of the assessment was how differently her peers rated her compared to her manager. She has learned a lot from that experience and has been working to communicate in different ways with her manager to ensure that her work and contributions are viewed equally across all areas of the agency. Because Annie works as an individual contributor within the agency, she was particularly interested in the ELI session that covered achieving results through power and influence. Annie has no official authority in her role and relies heavily on her ability to influence others when it comes to building policy strategies. She has been thinking a lot about how to be more intentional, using her own interpersonal power to achieve her goals. By better understanding her personal power patterns, she is learning to help others achieve what they want while simultaneously meeting her own goals when it comes to decision-making outcomes. Annie also really enjoyed the ELI session that talked about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. The work she does at the agency is related to creating new policies a lot of the time, so a growth mindset is important. However, not everyone in the agency always has that kind of thinking, Some folks get stuck on doing things the same way they have always been done. I have noticed that she is working on cultivating more growth mindset thinking around her to help her champion change. Annie also has learned to come to her own aid, which stands for awareness, intention, and do something different. And she has been adding the word yet to a lot of statements, like the agency does not have a financial product for manufactured homes yet. These are all useful in working on a growth mindset. Another session in ELI that seems to have had a strong impact on Annie and how she works is the session on elevating feedback. Annie learned more about how feedback can be important to the relationships with everyone she works with. Through her own assessment, she recognizes that she is much more receptible to receiving feedback than to giving it to others. She has been practicing giving positive reinforcement to others to encourage more of the changes she is trying to adopt in her work group. This is something that might take time and practice to master, but she understands how delivering feedback ties into all the other important aspects of leadership that she values, such as relationship building, establishing influence, and advocating for change. At the end of the day, there are a lot of things that come together that impact how Annie leads and how she weaves leadership in and around the work that she does for the state. It's a lot to think about, a lot to learn, and a lot to practice. All in all, I think this class has helped her in a lot of ways. It has given her a lot of new ideas, a lot of good reminders, and a lot of new tools and resources to practice with. I hope I get to continue sitting on her desk and watching her work for a long time, because I think she does a good job. Like the rest of you, she is just one person navigating her human experience while working for the state of Minnesota in order to be the best public servant possible. She even lets me be the center of attention once in a while, which I think is pretty nice. My name is Frankie, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk.